So as I look at number 31, as I'm looking at this one, first thing I'm going to notice is that I have this all to the third power. And so when I'm looking at 31, one of the things that I might want to do is I simplify that, is I might go, oh, I already have a 7, and I have this x to the negative 2. And if it's a negative exponent, to make it positive, we take the reciprocal, right? So I'm going to keep the x to the 8th down here. And instead of subtracting those, I'm going to move the x to the 2nd. Is this the only way to do this problem? No. Could you have done subtraction because it's division? Yes. But then I have this y to the 1st, and I'm going to keep that y to the 1st. And down here I have y to the negative 5. So when I'm on the test on Friday, and I have this y to the negative 5 down here, can I move it up and do the reciprocal, which would be y to the 5th? And all of this is still to the third power. So as we are looking at this, I have y to the 1st times y to the 5th. So that is going to leave me with 7 y to the 6th. In the denominator, I have x to the 8th times x to the 2nd. When we multiply, we should be doing, Christian, what with our exponents? Adding them. So I'm going to have x to the 10 here. And all of this is to the third power. So when I think of the 7, Brock, if there's no exponent, it has what for an exponent? 1. So I'm going to start rewriting this, and I'm going to take this answer on the test on Friday. 7 to the 3rd. Then I am looking at the y's, and as I look at the y's, even I'm going to be multiplying those and get y to the 18, because we took 3 times 1 to get 3, y to the 18. Then as I'm taking a look at that one, Kate, in my denominator, I'm going to take the 3 times 10 and get x to the 30. I would take this answer, and I know if you look in the back, they have 7 raised to the 3rd, and they have that answer besides the y to the 18 and x to the 30. First off, that exponent, it's a base with an exponent. And on the test, I will take almost all your answers as a base and an exponent. So if you don't want to use your calculator and tell me 3 to the 2nd equals 9, I will probably take that, although many of them you can simplify. So x to the n power, that's just telling us that I have n factors of x. It says exponents represent mathematical shortcuts for multiplication. Numbers expressed using exponents are called powers. Again, I will take answers as powers on the test. Older calculators and computers often use this caret key, so if you see that, other times y to the x is what they are using. So if we are taking a look at this, it says beware. Negative 4 to the 2nd. That really means negative 4 times negative 4. And if you take negative times a negative, we should always end up with positive 16. This problem right here, they say, oh, this is really what it means. It means negative 4 to the 2nd means negative 1 and then square the 4. Negative 1 times 4 times 4, this one is equal to a negative 16. That's why they say they are not equal. 16 and negative 16 are not the same. So you need to be very careful. And so there's been a lot of people I've been helping with the homework on 6b as they were looking at things or as they look at some of the homework, and they're like, oh, do I have to have that parenthesis around the number? Yes. If it starts with a parenthesis, keep that as part of your answer. So the bottom of that page is all of the rules. So we're going to fill this in. This is the page you're going to use today when you take this homework quiz with your shoulder partner or with your person that I assign you to. Anything to the 0 power we know is 1. Anything to the 0 is 1. So when you look at this exponent rule, what it's really telling us is all numbers not 0, raised to the 0 power, equal 1. Negative exponent. First thing, our goal is always to make the negative positive. So make the exponent positive. Take the reciprocal. Move the top to the bottom and bottom to the top. So when I take a look at that, what does it mean with symbols? it means that x to the negative m, because we're thinking of that being over 1, takes the reciprocal. But I need you to also write this one. This is the one that I always have people get mixed up. If x is to the negative m and it's in the denominator, taking the reciprocal just moves it to the numerator. It's just that x to the m. So it moves it from the top to the bottom or bottom to the top. So just be careful for that. What does our product rule say? Our product rule, when we are taking a look at this, is simply telling us that when we have the same base and we are multiplying, that we add our exponents. Multiplying same base, add exponents. How do we show it in symbols? X to the m times x to the n, and we write that as x to the m plus n. You have a pencil? Start writing. Fill that in. Right here. Even if you don't feel like writing the words in plain English, make sure you put down all those rules. The quotient rule. When we divide and we have the same base, we are actually subtracting. How do we write that with exponents? We are going to show x to the m divided by x to the n, and we are subtracting as we take a look at this. So power to a power, that's when you have a power raised to another power and you're multiplying. So when raising a power to a power, multiply the exponent. Again, this is the page that you're going to have out today when you and your partner take this practice quiz to get us ready for the test on Friday. What is product of a power? That means if I have two things inside that parenthesis, I have to take everything that's in the parenthesis to the power. So as I am looking at this, I have x, y to the m power. That's going to equal x to the m, y to the m. What does it mean in words? Raising a product to a power. Each factor gets raised to the new power. Our very last one, a lot of you have been doing this when you have like 3/5 to the second power. You take 3 to the 5th and 5 to, or 3 to the second and 5 to the second. This is just saying whatever inside here, if it's raised to the m power, I have to raise it to each of those. Why do they have this not equal 0 behind here? Because if the denominator is 0, you get undefined. So what are we doing when we raise a power to a power? Raise both to that power. Okay. Or it is now 21 questions, not 24. So 21 questions, it is 50 points. Those 50 points, I was just making out my answer key, that'll go in at 100%. And we are calling this the G1 test. Then we're going to have another test at the end of this unit. It's going to be the second part of G. It's going to be all about working with the scientific notation part. So, it is Friday. I can apply the exponent properties to 21 questions. So I got to simplify everything. Everything has to be in simplest form. So there's really not that much to write down. This is the standard. I can simplify with exponent properties. So this previous page, these are my exponent properties. These are the ones that I kind of have to have down. Today, this is the page you want to be on when you take this homework quiz in a few minutes. Okay. So 21 questions, 50 points. It's Friday. Again, if you are not here Friday and you don't take it ahead of time, then you probably take it next week, Monday or Tuesday on your own time. We are going to get a practice quiz in just a minute, but I would like you to turn to 6D right now. I'm going to hand out the practice quiz to you.
Answers indicate whether the student made an error and describe how to correct it, then have the correct answer.
Okay? So, this is like me correcting your test, right? So these are 4 questions that are maybe on a test. And you have to correct and score it, okay? You're trying to decide what did they do right, what did they do wrong. And I'll tell you, it's so much easier if everyone gets it correct, right? Because then you don't have much to look at because it's like they did it right. So you don't have to worry about it. So We're gonna take a look at question 1 together, because I just want to explain a couple things, and then we're gonna go to this quiz, okay? So, this says 1/3, and if you wanted to, you could put all of this over 1, right? Because it's 1/3 means 1's in the numerator and denominator, okay? So, they have this 1/3, this is what they did. 2y to the 0, x to the -3. They put the 3 in the denominator. Does that make sense that this 3 is in the denominator? Yes, no, no. 3 is in the denominator here, 1/3, that 3 is over here, right? The x to the -3 is in the numerator. 2y to the 0, 2 times 1, is that right? 2y to the 0, does it equal 2 times 1? No, what should anything to the 0 equal? 1. So I might circle this because that's their mistake, right? So this one was wrong. There's only one correct on this whole 5 questions. This one we know is not correct. So it says, if they got it wrong, it didn't correct, indicate where they made the error. This is where they made their error, right? This is the mistake. Describe how to correct it. Okay, so 2y to the 0 power, put that in a parenthesis, does not equal 2 times 1. Anything to the 0 equals, anything to the 0 power, we said equals what? Equals 1. This is supposed to just be a 1. So then correct it in your answer, so the answer should have been 1 over 3x to the 3rd. Okay, so we corrected it in the answer, we explained what we did, we showed this is where they made the mistake. When you finish this homework quiz, this practice quiz, this is what you're going to work on next. You can work on it with the same person you take your quiz with or not. I do want you to say with your partner when we are doing the quiz. Here is the quiz that you have, correct?